My name is Jimi, Muhammad Jamal. I was born in Egypt on the 17th of July, 1925. Therefore, I'm 28 years old. I'm 28 this year. I've been a musician in the Egyptian music scene professionally ever since 2005. Before that, I used to live in the UAE, and I had a couple of friends who played the guitar. We used to write stuff and record it at home on Acid Pro. Yeah, we came up with some stuff that when I listen to now, it sounds so funny. And that's when I started. Yeah, it was, to me, being a musician was a far-fetched dream because living in the Gulf, you get the other dream of becoming a petroleum engineer and making a lot of money. And so this never happened. Of course, I had to struggle a lot with my parents to become a professional musician. This is why I have a job that I do as a day job, you know.
Same here.
Exactly. So anyway, I met a friend in Alexandria where I used to study engineering. He was the brother of a friend of mine who used to play guitar, but his style was different than mine. He used to play Spanish guitar. His brother was more into rock, and I was very into rock back then, and still am actually. I met this guy. His name is Hisham Ansari. Hisham Ansari was one of the true musicians in the rock scene in Alex in the 90s, and they had a band called Thrashonizer. They used to play thrash metal, very underground. They were never they played like 2 concerts live, and then we jammed together at his place, and he's like, "There's something in you, man. You have to do something." Okay, he used to play in a jamming club in Alex called Crossroads, and that's closed now because people don't support that. Anyway. So he used to play there like every once in a while, and after that he insisted that I go with him and like jam in a few songs, and that's when I started to get the interest coming back to me. You know, I want to do something live and become a professional musician. So I formed my band after performing a few gigs with Hisham Ansari. I formed a band with young musicians from Alex that I met randomly, and it was called Simple. We used to play pop rock covers, basically. We played 2 concerts, and then I joined Salalem.
So you're actually in a unique position here because you play in Salalem, you play Arabic.
Yeah.
But you do your own thing, which is English.
Yeah.
But you actually have your foot in let's say, on both sides of the fence. Okay.
The thing with Salalem is that I've been there since the beginning. And when Osama is the guitarist in Salalem, he was one of my friends from when he used to live in the UAE. He studied there as well. And he was one of the people I used to make music with at home. And he's the one who recommended me for Salalem when they needed a vocalist. Back then I had never sang in Arabic before. I listened to Arabic music. I was raised, you know, we're Egyptians. Our parents listen to Arabic music, so we get that. So at first it was just me trying it out. If it works out, then I'll continue. If it doesn't, then khalas. So I was just in it for the experience. I must tell you that I was not good at all. If there's a word that I can say, I can't. I was really bad in singing Arabic. So it made me think, I'm Egyptian, I have to be able to do this. And this is what drove me into practicing, and I've had some experience. I was in the choir of one of the international pop stars for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, Sami Yusuf.
No?
Yeah. I toured with him for 2 years in the choir. And the 2 main reasons I did this for was the fact that the choir practices differently. And in our practices, we practice alone, without the band, and without Sami Yusuf, with a pianist who gives us all the notes together to sing. It was so funny because I was the only person in the choir who couldn't read notes, and they were all surprised, you know, how come you're here? Because Sami wanted people who pronounce English properly and can sing in tune. So those 2 things I was good at. But the thing that I learned from that experience is how to practice my singing in Arabic and singing oriental tunes, as well as staying in tune and breathing practice for vocalists. And I started improving ever since. That was in 2006, a year after I joined Salalem. And while I was in Salalem, I practiced. The thing is, my foot being on 2 different sizes, with Salalem, I don't get to do a lot of things that are in my head that I would think would sound nice, would sound good. Because it's a band, and there's a lot of compromise that has to happen in being a band and keeping it going on. is that we all have to agree on something that we all have to agree on.
Yeah, that's usually a problem.
Yeah, it's usually, and we've been together for 8 years, so there's the factor of the brotherhood that's between us now, and we're all. I think Salalem has really good potential to become one of the top bands in Egypt, and I think there's nothing wrong with being an Egyptian who sings in Arabic. Because
are you saying that because you probably read somewhere that I said something?
No, actually no. I say that because a lot of people ask me, why don't you do your thing? You sound much better in English. And why don't you just do that? It's because me and Salalem adds a different sound to the band that makes it what it is. And me doing my side projects is not gonna have any conflict of interest with Salalem. So this is why I do it, just for my own satisfaction as a musician.
Do you feel that your work in Salalem actually helps your solo project, or does it not? Does it not affect it at all?
I am what I am because of Salalem at this moment. The exposure we got, the network that we made, the friends that we have from the music scene and outside of it, it's because I'm in Salalem. So if I say it's the other way around, yani, I'm benefited in my solo project because of Salalem, because of my position. Yani, a lot of amazing musicians I've met in my life I would have never met if I wasn't in this band.
But you say so you wouldn't have met them if you were doing an English-speaking band?
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to get out. You know, we live in a country that the English projects don't get the exposure that they, most of them, unfortunately, exactly, they don't get the exposure that they really deserve. A lot of musicians I listen to in my car, we jam together. I like going to their concerts. I pay a ticket because I think they're worth it, and I buy the CDs to support the local music scene. Even if I don't like that kind of music, I have to support it. But the thing is, the market in Egypt for bands is more appealing for the Arabic-speaking bands.
Because we have more Arabic-speaking people.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. But we need to change that. It's very important that we change.
No matter,
that.
I will have to be a pessimist when it comes to something like that. But I don't think it'll ever. It will never, of course, reach the level of.
You want to know my opinion about that?
Okay.
في مثل بيقول ما تباش المية في حارة السقايين. So what I'm saying is, sing in English, make music that you think sounds good, add a bit of the oriental taste in it, the Egyptian identity. This is when it might sell outside of Egypt and then sell in Egypt.
But don't you think that writing a song, say for example, it's a completely English singing band, and they decide to add an oriental flavor to the song, not because it will help the song, but because of what you just said.
It has to help the song.
So let's say there is nothing oriental that can help the song. What would a band do in that case if they don't feel comfortable?
It doesn't have to be in every song, you know. If you have an album of 10 songs, you could add the oriental taste in 3 or 4 songs. That's it. If they serve the song. So, but if you're composing a song and writing it, and there's nothing in your head that has to do with oriental, or your brain is not in that side, then you don't have to do it in the next song. But the identity has to, like, there's a band, Mascara. They travel abroad and they play concerts abroad. They're really good. I don't like that kind of music, but I would still go to the concert to see their performance and the music, how it's evolving with them, and how they're because they're also my friends. So, and the fact that they go abroad is because of that. You know, they play the kind of music that's familiar to the people who are not Egyptians, but at the same time they add some of the taste of the oriental music through vocals or through instruments.
There's also Scarab.
Of course, yes.
Surprisingly, they're the only 2 bands that have, and they're both, relatively speaking, death metal.
Yeah, exactly. And I've met in Jordan some bands, metal bands or hardcore metal bands, who they add the oriental taste in the scales that they play, in the notes that they play while soloing or the chords. They have harmonic minor. I don't know if that makes any sense to the listeners, but it works, and sometimes things that sound really good come out.
But you realize that they're still singing in English.
But you have to give the audience something familiar to listen to.
Which is why they play. The point I'm trying to make is, they are adding oriental scales, but in the end they are singing in English, and the only reason that they're able to tour in English-speaking or Western countries is because they're singing in English.
And yet other bands who sing in Arabic do the same kind and amount of touring, and I can name a few.
Such as?
Like Masar Iqbali, Salalem recently. This month we're going to Jordan next.
But you're going to Arab country.
Yeah, but Masar Iqbali went to Macedonia, they went to Malta. Autostrad, the band from Jordan, they went to Cyprus.
But as far as I know, Scarab and Mascara have been to several locations in Europe, and I believe Mascara in the US as well.
Yeah, and Masar Iqbali كمان راحوا US. They went to the US. I mean, it's difficult. It's more difficult for Arabic-speaking bands.
They don't play rock though. Masar Iqbali is a full-on oriental band, right?
Oriental rock. There's a rock
you as a
element.
musician, you know that it is very difficult to I mean, rock music in itself is a very Western genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And it usually, not all the time, but usually it doesn't sound very right when you're playing rock music with Arabic lyrics. Usually, not all the time.
But at the same time, I think it doesn't have to be full-on rock, but it's influenced by rock at least.
Of course.
This is what I listen to. If to you it doesn't sound
it's the same as
like
being
rock.
able to fuse jazz and blues with Arabic.
Usually,
lyrics.
honestly, to be honestly speaking, fusion is not something that people should be scared of. It's very interesting because it's a world that never ends. You can do anything. You can, the Egyptian beat, al-Maqsoom, the people know it. Everyone dances to it everywhere in the world. And you try playing Maqsoom anywhere in the world, people will still dance.
Yes, music is
the groove.
It's music because in the end, we're taking the lyrics out of it. We're taking the singing out of it. When it comes to actual music like that is exotic, and lots of people, not necessarily Arab, would enjoy and dance to music like that. The thing is, sometimes when you add those lyrics, it tends to alienate people. Kind of like for me, I'm an Egyptian and everything, but I would listen to some really nice music and then somebody starts singing in Arabic and it alienates me. And I know for a fact that for people who are totally not, I understand Arabic, but people who have no idea what the words are, they might like the music, but then as soon as the singing starts, they start to feel this sort of disconnection with the song. And that's again back to the point of why bands like Scarab and Mascara are able to tour in Western countries, because they're singing in English. They are infusing their own flavor and their own feel to the song, which happens to be Oriental because they are Arab. I personally don't think that you can get a full-on rock band that sings in Arabic and have them be successful.
It's a challenge, definitely.
Maybe rock is a bit more accessible and easier to work with. Let's say metal music. I've heard Arabic metal, and I'm not going to claim that I'm nowhere near a great musician or anything, but I've been doing it for quite a while. And me as a musician hearing that, it sounds really wrong. It does not mix. Maybe because it's not been done enough. Maybe because they're not doing it right. It could be for several reasons. It could be not necessarily that it wouldn't work, but maybe they just haven't found the right way to do it yet. But the way it is now, when I hear Arabic metal, it just doesn't.
So let's just say that you and I agree on the fact that to take a kind of music that's not yours and try to infuse it with your kind of music, you need to customize it together first, not just copy pasting it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just يعني بيسموها بالعربي ما نرقعش المزيكا.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I agree.
I think it needs work. I think it's possible, but I think that most bands that are trying to do that are trying to take a full-on rock or metal sound, or even a full-on jazz sound, and just slap Arabic lyrics over it.
But I'm just wondering why can't we like one day listen to an Arabic Egyptian song being played in whatever kind of music, being played in a Brazilian bar like we hear when we listen to Latin. We listen to Brazilian Latin, although we don't understand the words. So this is where I'm going. This is where I want to go. You know, the kind of music that we play, you like it because the music sounds good and the singing sounds good with the music, disregarding the lyrics. The lyrics are just a plus for the people who can understand them. And actually, sometimes I listen to, for example, a Gypsy Kings song. I really like the flow of the singing and the rhythm and the feel to it. So I just log on to try to translate the words and see what they mean. So why not that someday we could do that? Why not that someday? And I don't mind, for example, being if I go on a solo project, it won't be totally in English. There will be a few songs that I feel should be in Arabic because this is how I'm gonna express them easily.
I take a couple of steps back. I don't think that genres like, let's say, because we're talking about Latin genres, salsa or those genres are as popular as full-on American or British pop or pop rock music.
Of course. It's because of the media.
Which could also mean that there is a bar somewhere or a club or something that is playing oriental music. We just don't know about it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean,
I've actually never walked into a club and listened and heard Brazilian. I don't know. That's never happened to me.
Night, yeah.
Exactly, on salsa night.
Yeah.
And it's specifically made to dance salsa to.
Yeah.
It's tailored to, we're playing that kind of music for a specific purpose, such as a dancing, a specific kind of dancing. So, I don't know, maybe.
It's just the fact that I just want this to spread on a bigger scale for all musicians in Egypt who are doing something that they believe in. I mean, big hats off for people like Hani Mustafa and Shadi Ahmed and Rashad, because they're doing something, they're challenging the market, and I think they're doing a really pretty good job. And things like this should go on. I mean, if you don't think you could sing in Arabic and become the musician you want to be, or deliver the message that you want to deliver through your songs, then don't. But this is going to be a more difficult challenge, so you need to be up to it.
Yes.
So that's the thing. I feel I like to express myself sometimes I don't write in Arabic, by the way. I've written in my whole life for Salalem around 4 songs, one of which we sing. The other 3 have been thrown away. But I write in English. I think in English, actually, because of my background. I always want to explore different kinds, and I'm recording an album at the moment, and it's gonna be, I don't know when it's gonna be released. I'm still working
when
on
it's
it.
done.
When it's done, yeah. It's been going on for like 6 months now. I've recorded 3 songs, none of which are similar to each other. I'm experimenting. I'm at the phase where I'm looking for a sound that's familiar to me. Salalem, to me, is a band that I love playing with, and I've contributed in the success of, and still am, and is a band that I think has a lot of potential. But at the same time, I feel that there's a certain type of energy that won't come out in Salalem, has to go out somewhere else, and this is where I'm going with Buzz and with my solo project.
People usually, when I broach the subject of Arabic music, or people who go full on, it's not like rock Arabic, it's Arabic. They think that I'm criticizing, and that I think it's wrong. But what I'm trying to say is, just as it is not wrong for artists to sing in Arabic because of the exposure, lots of people do that for the exposure, and it's fine as long as they're enjoying it.
Of course, as fine as long as they're enjoying it and they know that they're doing it for that.
ما يضحكوش على نفسهم.
Exactly. They have to be honest with themselves.
You have to be honest with. That's a good rule to follow with. Actually, this is funny because the last interview I did, we went with this whole thing as well. It's good to be honest with your music,
it's
and that's
very important.
That's how good music comes out. But what I wanted to make clear most of the time is that it's also not wrong, and it's also okay for artists that want to just do their thing in English.
Yeah,
it's not that they think that Arabic is bad or Arabic is not a great language to work with. It's just who they are as artists, and it's how they see themselves. And there's nothing wrong with them pursuing it that way and not giving in to, oh, okay, I'm gonna write music in Arabic because that'll make me more popular.
You know, it's if the musician is not doing it mainly for the expression of feeling, then there's something wrong. There's definitely something wrong. They have to express the feelings. This is why bands find it hard to go on together for a long time, because their feelings are different. So in Salalem, for example, we have around 25 songs that we play, and not all of them together in one concert, but we have a repertoire of 25 songs. I think I enjoy playing the most around 10 songs, and the rest is because it's an accumulative decision. We enjoy them together, but I don't sing them by myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think that every artist in a band.
In the end, with a band, there's a person called X, who is the name of the band, who has to be the common feeling of the whole band. But with a solo project or a single artist, it's him. So if he can't express himself unless in this certain type of way, he should keep on doing it.
Well, since you've obviously had, like I said, your foot on both sides of the fence, and you've been exposed to both, what we consider both. There's this or that. There's obviously a lot more, but in Egypt there's Arabic and English.
Yeah.
You've been exposed to both kinds. What were your influences when it comes to both Arabic music and English music?
I'll start with English. It started off, and I'm not ashamed of saying it, I used to like boy bands.
I actually used to listen to Spice Girls.
No, not really Spice Girls. But I used to like a few boy bands, starting with Take That and Five. They had good groove. They had something. You know? Although they're not the ones who produce their own music, I guess. But I like that kind of music. That's when I started listening to music. Before that, of course, ABBA and the Bee Gees. And then I shifted to Metallica.
Everybody has to do the Metallica shift. There's always that.
Believe me, I went to a Metallica concert last year.
Yeah.
I hadn't listened to them for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Not even one song. And then I just decided to go to Metallica concert. It was one of the best experiences my whole life, really. I felt like a 14-year-old kid again. And people were crying to Nothing Else Matters, and I was like, yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can feel that. So yeah, it was an amazing thing. Metallica took a big part of my life. And of course, whatever comes with Metallica, all the rock bands from the 90s and 80s. I'm not really into hardcore rock. I'm more into groovy rock. You know, the kind of
rock that is more, that still has its blues roots.
Exactly. And then, of course, after metal and rock, we go to blues and jazz. And this is where now I'm more interested in funky music. And my influences mainly are very diverse, like Al Jarreau, Kurt Elling, Dave Matthews, Eric Clapton, B.B. King, and a little bit of Michael Jackson. In Arabic, it's not that diverse actually. I like listening to old Arabic songs because of the melodies, not because of anything else, just the melodies. They had really good melodies back then, but if used now with world music, it will come up to be very, 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 very good music. We do that with Salalem. This is the kind of thing that I like. Bringing old songs back to the future with different sound, different arrangements. They sound good. So old songs, not really specific. Of course, Fairuz and Kulthum. And then right now, it's just Muhammad Munir. It's just Muhammad Munir because he also supports the local music scene. He has musicians in his band from the local music scene who are young musicians. He recruits them. And I found out that he actually surveys the scene to find out every once in a while if he wants to replace someone in his band with someone who's more young and has more energy. So I respect that, and of course his music is not all good, but a lot of stuff has been really good ever since he started his career. He's been through a lot of struggles. In Arabic specifically, I'm the total opposite of the mainstream. I listen to Arabic bands mainly, from here, from Jordan, from Syria, Lebanon, from anywhere in the Arab world. I have my favorite bands that I really love listening to in Egypt, like Masar Igbari, Autostrad from Jordan, and then Murabba from Jordan, who you should listen to, by the way.
Okay.
I think they might alter your perception about Arabic rock.
Possibly.
A little bit, because
I'm open to it.
Because the accent is different. It's not Egyptian.
Yeah.
So I think this will also help in your. They're a very good progressive rock band. They have a very different feeling. I met them in Jordan. I was there last week, and people, the music scene over there, it's amazing. It's overwhelming. I was so inspired by the people over there, and it's growing, and it's so diverse. And there's a lot of metal bands and a lot of rock bands singing Arabic and in English, and people singing both languages, and gigs everywhere. It's amazing. Mainly I listen to Arabic bands, and I'd like checking out the new bands that are coming up from around the region.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you this question. I didn't ask it to other people because they were mostly English speaking bands. But since you are more in touch with the Arabic scene, I will have to ask you about what you think the revolution has done.
It opened doors for some bands, and who were smart enough to take the opportunity. Some bands tried to do that, and they couldn't because they weren't real. The ones who were real to the whole issue and who felt it were able to deliver what they wanted to do. And the ones who didn't feel it, they weren't able to deliver it. And they're the ones who just sat there, did nothing until everything was over and things were clear. I can't say which is the smartest or who is the best band or what the revolution did, but it definitely gave perspective. It gave perspective to a lot of bands, including my band Salalem, including myself, The revolution was like a dream, you know. It happened so fast and ended, and you don't believe it's been 3 years almost. I only think it gave us, as independent musicians in Egypt, more exposure from the music. That's the benefit that I think we all benefited from one way or another.
I'll have to disagree with the all part.
Maybe.
I think only Arabic-speaking bands.
Well, let me tell you something. If Arabic-speaking bands make it big, therefore more events happen. And in these events, there has to be diversity for the event organizer to have a successful event. You don't find now a festival without at least 1 or 2 English-speaking bands with the Arabic-speaking bands for the diversity to attract the audience, bigger base of the audience.
You don't think it's a...
So it's an indirect benefit.
But I will feel that if I go to a concert, for example, that has, let's say, Wust Balad and Kairoki and Salalem, and then bands like Wyvern and Your Prince Harming and other heavier bands. There are the bands that are in the middle, somewhere there in the middle. I don't come across them a lot, but let's say Adham Rushdie, who plays Wyvern as well, he has a funk jazz band that is somewhere in the middle of Arabic and English. It's all in English, but it's a lot more accessible to Arabic-speaking people because the music's a lot softer. Usually people listen
like
there.
Buzz. We do that in Buzz as well. We play hit songs.
Well, let's get... Usually covers always win.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to cover. Yeah. That's why I've always been against playing covers. The covers that I play like over the years. I started off with a cover band, of course, like everybody else.
You do that.
But after 10 years of playing in bands, the only covers that I personally would play are songs that I want to play.
Yeah,
not songs that I want people to hear. Songs that I want to play. So let's assume that these bands all play their own music.
Okay.
A person who's going to see a band like Salalem will probably not stay and watch a band like Wyvern. A few people will. A few people will listen. A few people will be open-minded about it. Or people who are going for Wyvern will listen to
How about,
band, for example.
Like, for example, remember SOS Music Festival?
Yes.
There was Arabic bands, rock bands, all kinds of bands.
I have a very, very big bone to pick with the organizers of SOS.
Yeah, we all do. Anyway. But
have you noticed that they put the English-speaking bands at the very beginning so that they can push the Arabic bands back into the schedule so that more people are around?
It wasn't done right. I agree. The scheduling wasn't done right. But take this concept and do it again with rescheduling properly and not actually announcing the schedule and bringing the people from early to watch the different bands. I would be very fine with someone who doesn't listen to my kind of music, but he's standing there and he has to listen to it because it's being played, and someone else next to him who's very interested and shows interest, and people connect.
Yeah.
And the audience, they connect. Like, for example, if you go to a Amr Haha gig somewhere.
Somehow I was dragged to one.
And if this happens to you, at least you would be nodding your head with the group. At least.
That's usually what happens when I go to clubs.
Exactly.
I hate the music, but eventually I'll just have to give in. It happens to all of us.
It's just the effect of being around an audience. And this alone, I'm fine with, because he might go home and check out the band online. So I'd still push for events like this, عشان to increase the amount of people who could be interested. They need a push. That's the thing. This is how I got introduced to Metallica, by the way. I was totally against anything that sounds harsh and distorted, until my friend, he kept insisting, and plays it in the car, he plays it at home. So I liked one song that dragged me into this whole thing. And you'd be surprised the song that I liked.
Which one?
Through the Never.
Really? So usually people go for like Nothing Else Matters,
No,
Unforgiven.
It was Through the Never. The song that got me into listening to Metallica was Through the Never. I like the riff.
Yeah.
It was a annoying riff, but I liked it.
No, I like it. It's my kind of music. But you are right. It is possible to inject different kinds of music into the audience.
الشعب بيحب الزن صدقني.
It's not that. It was a scheduling problem. It is telling people, this band is going to play last, or this band is going to play first. Of course, people who don't want to sit there for 8 hours will pick which time they want to go.
I want that one day we have a concert and then suddenly Kairoki play in the second band.
Yeah, exactly. You put you don't put all the big bands at the end. You pull a big band in the beginning, a big band in the middle, and a big band in the end, so that people will listen to the filler bands.
Exactly.
And
until they become not filler bands.
Yeah. Another thing that people do in concerts outside of Egypt, not the big concerts, like the small one band concerts. Those one band concerts have opening bands, like one or two bands that open for the big band.
Like Nerve Cell opened for Metallica.
مثلا, they close the gates before the first band plays. So if you go there late to listen to just the headlining band,
that's an idea.
But you can't do that with like a lot of bands. It's like one big band is playing and you have 2 or 3 supporting acts. Doors close at 7. Anybody who comes after 7 will not get in.
You need to discipline.
It forces
the
people.
audience.
Yeah, no, it's not discipline. It is the audience is picky and finicky, and you sometimes have to push them to listen to other bands, because in the end you have to have other bands for the big bands to work out. There has to be smaller bands, and those smaller bands grow to big bands, and there's other smaller bands that open for the bands that were small in the past, and that's how the music.
It's a cycle.
It is unfortunately a business. That's how the business works, and the only way that musicians can continue to make music is that they are able to make money to spend on their music.
Exactly.
And
that's where we get a lot of criticisms, because we do commercials.
No, I mean, if you're lucky enough for somebody to approach you for a commercial, most non-musicians will not understand that it is very difficult. Usually, we as musicians spend our own money from our day job to book studio time, to record, to buy our instruments,
exactly,
to for food and gas when going and coming back.
أنا قصدت الإفكت بتاعي ما جبته بالقسط.
Wanna come in? I bought a expensive guitar, an expensive multi-effect, and I had to pay. Of course, I was paying my bassist. He bought them, and I was paying him every month. But I was still having to pay it on installment.
Exactly, it's difficult.
People get upset at us when we say, "Oh, we're selling our album. Why aren't you giving it free online?" Well, because we need the money.
Although we don't make that much money.
Yeah, we don't make that much money from it.
يعني the album cost us Salalem £60,000 to produce in total. Plus I think we didn't even collect half of that money. It's been out for 2 years.
Just like with bigger bands, the money is made through gigs.
Gigs and for the Egyptian market, the corporate as well.
Yes. Well, the bands that are lucky enough to be able to do corporate.
It's very interesting. Actually, we learn a lot from it. I can't say that I'm not learning from working with that kind of industry. We're not betraying the industry.
No, fellas, I don't think lots of musicians build their entire career on making jingles, and you can't not call them musicians. They are musicians. They write music for. It's a good thing because they actually improve the quality of the jingles when it comes to sound production. Yeah, when it's an actual musician that's working on it, because they're doing it because in the end it's their name on it, but they want it to sound good. Exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. True. I've never heard people say that bands are selling out because they're making commercials for products. We were fought for one ad. I know Sadi, for example. Sadi does a lot of solo jingle work. Yeah, I know. He has a very good name in the market. It's a way to make money. It's his job. It's a career, and he's lucky to have a career doing something he loves doing, music. Exactly. I mean, the closest I got is this job, and I have my music career is on the side. So people who are able to actually make money off making music, these are the lucky ones. That's the dream. Yeah, exactly. that's the dream, and be able to travel around and play music up here. That's the dream. Well, let's talk more about you. Yeah, as your since NileFM's Homegrown is more of an English thing. We play your English music from Buzz and your solo project, Jimi. We're gonna step aside from Salalem now, and I want to know more about what you plan to do with Buzz. Tell me more about Buzz, actually, because you haven't spoken about that at all. Definitely. And what you plan to do as your Jimi, the solo thing. Buzz, my flatmate is Amr Galal, who's a terrific drummer, and he's been in the scene for 15 years. And the idea with Buzz is that I wanted to play funk rock, and Rami Siddi, the guitarist, is a friend of mine from a long time, and I've always wanted to be in a band with him. I think he's one of the best guitarists who played rock in Egypt. And he has a groove, and he has a feeling. And we were talking one day, me and my flatmate Amr, we were discussing, why don't we play together? We live together, we should play together in a band, So this is when the idea came. He plays with many different bands. I play in Salalem, and
I have a day job. We wanted to have something that we could have fun with. A sound that's different and we can play with and take it to any kind of experiments. So we recruited Aiz, who's an amazing bassist, and sadly I don't feel I can play with any bassist anymore because I've been with him for 8 years in Salalem and now in Buzz. And Aiz has been in the scene for a long time. He used to play metal and rock with a band called Helium, مع Adam Rushdie.
I remember that.
Yep, and Rami Sami, who was a keyboardist who used to live in Sharm el-Sheikh for 10 years, and he got fed up of playing there as, just a saxophone, keyboards in hotels. So he came to Egypt to play in a band.
So he's probably making more money in Sharm.
Exactly. He used to.
But he's doing what he wants to do.
Exactly.
That's the important thing.
He decided that he's gonna leave Sharm el-Sheikh and come to Cairo, meet with the musicians and be in a band. So he plays with a few bands as well, Rami now. And the good thing is that he plays sax and keyboard. We met one day. We spoke about that. Of course, unfortunately, in order for a band to get a name in lesser time than the usual, you need to play covers.
Yeah.
So we decided we're gonna start up as a cover band, but we're gonna play a little bit with the covers and change the arrangements when suitable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you change the arrangement of the song, it turns out to be worse than the original.
Yeah.
So you either play it right like the original or better. So we decided, we went out on one jam session just to discover each other and build the chemistry in the band. And in that day we decided to call it Buzz because the guitar amplifier had a buzz that was a killer buzz.
It was terrible.
Earth buzz, the earth buzz?
Yeah.
It was like that throughout the rehearsal, so we decided to call the band Buzz because of that buzz. It gives you a buzz. So yeah, the main idea is funk rock. We try to formulate all the songs that we play as covers into a rock feeling, a groovy rock feeling. One day we were playing the song Missing by Everything But The Girl. We had it as an idea, and then we were in the jam session and Rami started playing he started playing the bass. The song starts with the dun, 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 dun. And then a song was built just right in the jam session. I sang on it, the melody and the lyrics of the song. It turned out amazing. We decided, okay, this is one song we should be recording as an introduction of the band, to get the people to listen to us through a familiar sound. I think we recorded it in a very professional studio. ما استخسرناش فيها, and with the support of the amazing sound engineers Sensei and Sam Saharti.
And we've played it on the show, and people can still listen to it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
as well,
and actually the one who mixed the song and mastered it is Hamza Namir. I don't know if you know him. He's a very popular singer in the Arabic music scene, and he studied mixing and sound design and sound engineering, and he's our friend, so he just wanted to try out on the song, and it turned out amazing. I love the mixing, I love the mastering. So Buzz, basically now what we're doing is we play gigs at places around Cairo. We play in weddings, of course, and all the munasabit, until we gather enough money to start producing our own originals, and we're working on originals.
But actually, because about the covers, there are artists that build their entire career on just taking other people's songs and
like Dirty
changing.
Loops.
Like there was something else, something cheese. I don't remember. His name was an entire artist that takes songs like from bands like Nirvana and Metallica even and stuff like that, and plays them and does a jazz version of it.
Yeah.
And all his albums are just basically covers. So it's not you can.
I'm not against. I could use a cover or two if I'm recording, because in the end, when you rearrange it, it becomes your own production.
Yeah.
So, and if it turns out really good, then why not? You know what I'm saying? So it's just go with the feeling, go with whatever you feel like doing. I wrote a few songs for Buzz. We're working on them at the moment. I think the next song we're gonna record is also gonna be a cover with a whole different arrangement. But then along the line, we're gonna shift slowly into playing originals, and rearranged covers that is our sound. along the way. But right now, I think, honestly speaking, Buzz, we're collecting the money because we play in different bands. So Buzz is not a project that we need to get money from. We just need to put money in.
Yeah.
To become something. I mean, maybe someday we could like play concerts abroad and get the exposure through online. We're thinking of actually shooting the music and putting it on YouTube to get the hits.
That's
Yeah. And honestly speaking, yeah, to get the hits.
Well, there's no shame in saying I'm doing this for because you need money.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can't
so,
just eat your arm off. You're gonna have to find something to do.
We're all determined, and
which is always a good.
There has to be a lot of determination. Yeah. I mean, can I say that at the jazz club, I started a thing called the Vocalist Jam Night with Ahmed Al-Fai'i from the jazz club, who used to be a vocalist back in the day, to get a band of different musicians from different bands every 2 months or every month to rehearse 2 full sets with as many vocalists as possible from the scene. And we had 3 editions of that, I think, till now. They were very successful, one of which was not that good, but at least we tried. We had a Stevie Wonder and a Stevie Wonder tribute night. Stevie Wonder and Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was one night. And another night was Michael Jackson and Jimi tribute. And another one was a random jam night for vocalists, different kinds of music. So bringing the people together and the musicians together, building the friendship and pushing each other, Shadi Ahmed or Hani Mustafa, when they do their thing and push other people to do their thing, you find people rising now, like Safi, for example, who's amazing talent. Like I see, like he has a lot of potential, and we all need to work together. Even if I'm singing in Arabic and someone else is singing in English, I mean, I could always, for example, if there's a big event, we all do networking abroad when we travel, and we could always recommend bands from Egypt to go abroad. And when I go anywhere in the world, I carry my whole set of CDs and music from different bands in Egypt and make people listen to them everywhere, because somewhere in the world you're gonna find someone who likes this kind and wants to bring it back to his country.
It's all about being at the right place at the right time.
Networking and not giving up and being all together and believing, actually, because for example on Twitter I see Shadi posting something about his new upcoming gig, and we retweet each other, we support each other to get a lot of attention and to attract the attention of people who could be interested but are not in this channel. I mean, for example, if on a Salalem account on Twitter, the kind of people who are following Salalem won't be the kind of people who would be following Mr. Hani Mustafa. So if I retweet something from him through this account, he gets exposure, and the other way around as well.
Yeah.
So this is how it's gonna work. This is how it's gonna happen. And I see at the moment the benefit we got from the revolution being that the media gave a little bit more attention to the local scene and the young people who play music in Egypt. We should also seize the fact that right now there's this resistance happening from the scene towards anything that's negative. It's the only thing that's positive in Egypt at the moment, in my opinion, is the arts and culture scene. And it's the only thing that, when you look at it, you see that there's hope. I've been to Europe, I've been to France and Germany in Europe. I've checked out the underground scene there. We have amazing musicians in Egypt, and we don't get the chance to do the things that we want to do because of the fact that we need a visa, for example, to go somewhere. I think there's a lot of potential if we just keep pushing.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I just want to ask you if there's anything you want to tell, because a lot of musicians listen to the interviews. But it's usually nice to hear advice from other musicians who are already established in the scene. So if there's anything you'd like to tell local musicians that are starting out.
Well, I'd like to say that there's definitely nothing wrong with trying out until you find your own sound, and there's nothing wrong in music unless it's out of tune, I guess. So
sometimes out of tune things are
to certain people.
Well, to make a point with the music.
Yeah. Well, it's not definitely. I tell them keep doing what you're doing, and there always has to be this link between people who've been there for a while and people who are just starting, speed up the process. You know what I'm saying? You just can't unlink yourself from the musicians who are growing, because one day you're gonna go and they're gonna be there. So it has to be like a link, and you have to maintain this link together. Never to underestimate anyone's capabilities as an artist, or think that because you don't like that kind of music that this person or band is not good. But definitely everyone's doing something to the scene, everyone's contributing one way or the other. So I always promote the idea of union, the idea of being all together under one umbrella, with different types of music, different approaches, different sounds, and this is what would make the Egyptian music scene powerful. This is what I think. It's very important.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy, for coming in.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
And hopefully we'll hear more of your solo stuff from Buzz and Jimmy on Homegrown soon.
Definitely. There's a song I'm working on at the moment. It's a cheesy song. Another cheesy song. And it'll be out soon.